Hello, my name is Dr. Stephen Mulholland. I'm president and founder of Spa Medica. Spa Medica has been around serving the Greater Toronto community out of Yorkville for 25 years. So what is a brow lift? A brow lift is a surgical repositioning of the eyebrows such that it provides a more aesthetically pleasing upper facial, upper lid brow unit. It can be subdivided into a full brow lift and repositioning, a tail of the brow repositioning, or even a central brow repositioning. So the modern approach to brow lift surgery has been limited access, subtle to focused repositioning of the droopy or the ptotic, as it's called, the ptotic meaning droopy elements of the brow, that gives a more pleasing look to the eyebrow contour and accentuates the upper lid appearance. So how are brow lifts performed? Well, it depends on the type of brow lift. Typical brow lift performed in a woman now is going to be a limited port incision. That means small access ports in the hair so it's hidden, no longer extending from ear to ear like when I trained in the 80s. The old bicoronal incisions typically aren't done anymore unless it's a very, very heavy browed, older patient, male or female. Typically it's going to be a limited access, small port access, undermining of the soft tissue envelope, and then repositioning and fixation with high-tech techniques such as tiny little fixation bioabsorbable screws or bioabsorbable constructs that hold the brow in place and then dissolve away, bioabsorbable suture suspension threads that hold the elevated brow up until the brow heals to itself, and then that focused elevation of the brow can be a long-term result. Who's a candidate for a brow lift procedure? Well, any patient, female or male, that has droopiness or heaviness of the brows, where the brow itself subtends or descends upon and over the orbital rim and leads to very excess folds of skin of the upper lid. It can be combined with or without an upper lid blepharoplasty or upper lid job. And typically we start with elevating the brows and then see how much lid skin or excess flesh remains, and then take away a little bit of the upper lid skin and tissue, and that's called an upper lid blepharoplasty. It's very common to perform those two in tandem. So a male or female candidate who are medically well, who don't have any ocular pathology such as dry eye syndrome or lid closure abnormalities or inflammatory conditions of the eye or untreated, undiagnosed glaucoma or macular degeneration, any of the common medical conditions of the eye need to be treated first. Most patients generally have to have reasonable expectations of what can be achieved. And typically they need to have hair to hide even the very small limited incisions like the 1 or 2 centimeter incision ports we now use. If a patient happens to be male and completely bald, we do have a brow lift that can be done through the upper lid incision called the transblepharoplasty brow lift. And the transblepharoplasty brow lift, or TBB, is a nice elegant way to elevate a very hooded tail of the brow on a male patient. So the best candidates have reasonable expectations, reviewed the informed consent document for risks and benefits, don't have any uncontrolled medical conditions, and are willing to undergo a procedure that requires a good week of recovery. So what are the specific steps of a brow lift? Well, a typical brow lift for a male and a female is designed to selectively elevate the droopy elements of the brow. Typically, that will be the outer half or third called the tail of the brow. Elevating that tail of the brow elevates some of the droopy elements of the upper eyelid, and it can allow us to be a more limited incision upper blepharoplasty. So we start with local anesthesia. Often brow lifts are performed under local anesthesia with some light oral sedation. The subcutaneous envelope of the skin is elevated off the bony aspects and the deep muscle of the brow, and that can be done in several manners and techniques. Bits of excess brow in the hairline can be excised, and then fixation and stabilization can be occurring through very, very small ports. I typically use barbed bioabsorbable sutures to support the brow while it's healing, then it heals to itself. And typically patients need to have their brow wrapped and protected for about 5 to 7 days. So typically about 1 week off work till they're back into makeup. And again, it's very, very common to combine a brow lift in a male and a female with an upper lid blepharoplasty. So we elevate the brow to increase the distance between the eyebrow and the eyelashes, and then remove the unwanted extra flesh that exists between the eyebrow and eyelash, and that's called the blepharoplasty. What's the recovery from a typical minimal access modern brow lift? Typically about 7 days. There's a little bit of swelling and bruising in the eye area. but typically that resolved very quickly. It's not very painful because of limited access ports and undermining. There's no numbness in the scalp, no prolonged sensitivity to the scars. Typically there's very little, if any, hair loss or telogenal fluvium or shock hair around the elevation. And patients can look quite good in makeup at 1 week. It takes up to 6 weeks for stabilization and elevation to heal, and about 3 months for the bioabsorbable fixation systems, the tiny little endotines or the bioabsorbable sutures to go away, and the brow is held together by its own inherent autogenous lifting and wound healing capabilities. Patients describe the postoperative pain as modest. Let's say aesthetic surgery could be an 8 or 9 out of 10 with a tummy tuck with muscle work or under the muscle breast augmentation. Brow lifts are typically described as a level 1 or 2 out of 10 pain, so very tolerable. Typically anti-inflammatory medications, all that is required. Occasionally there will be a drain left under a more extensive elevation of the brow, but typically tail of the brow lifts do not require a drain, and they wear a wrap for a couple of days. That's removed. Patient sutures, if they do an upper lid blepharoplasty, come out on day 6 or 7. The little sutures, the tiny ones inside the hairline, are removed within that 1 week period, and most patients are back to work on the 8th to the 10th day. What kind of results can a patient expect from a brow lift? Well, typically the results are customized to the needs of the patient. Is it a full brow elevation? Is the middle part of the brow? Is the tail of the brow? Is it the middle and the tail? So we customize the anatomic locations that are going to be elevated. We customize the limited incision approach to the access. We customize how many millimeters the tail of the brow actually needs to be elevated. But patients can expect a customized, individualized approach to their elevation. The brow elevation needs to be pleasing but not overdone. You don't want to look like a scared, startled deer in a headlight, so a subtle to modest elevation. Anywhere between 3 and 6 millimeters of brow elevation is typical. And then we assess how much upper lid skin exists after the brow has been repositioned. And that is also customized into how much is excised, whether the fat pads are removed, the extent of the incision, and the placement of the incision. So I think patients in nowadays a modern brow lift surgery can expect a very customized, modest to pleasing elevation of the brow with customized eyelid contouring and upper lid blepharoplasty. And the whole effect should be creating a much more youthful, fresh, rested, non-tired look to the periocular eyebrow and eyelid anatomy.
Cityline, folks, we are doing an ultimate beauty special today. Today on Cityline, we are doing the biggest facial transformation we have ever done before on Cityline. It's going to be amazing. A couple of the people who are responsible for this, Dr. Stephen Mulholland and Dr. Jordan Saul. Hi, guys. So let's get back to our big transformation on the show today. We were transforming Ella. Ella is her name. Fantastic woman, single mom. She hated her looks. She thought she needed a change. So we're going to give you a look right now of what Ella looked like when she came to us and we started with her. This is Ella then. We're going to take a look at the before and after shot. And throughout the show today, we are going to be showing you the entire process, which I imagine, Dr. Steve Mulholland, was a big one. Talk to me about what you first thought when you met with Ella and what some of the challenges might be with this.
Well, Ella was challenging, almost like a Cinderella, really.
Right.
Because many people present to me and they have some aging changes, but the underpinnings, the foundations of their facial form, their skeleton, are favorable. Mm-hmm. And Ella just inherited some unfavorable characteristics that didn't allow her to ever project that proportion that she always wanted. So her chin wasn't quite balanced with the cheeks, wasn't quite balanced with the nose. And then as you age without the underpinnings of support, things tend to droop a little early.
Right.
So she had some hereditary issues that bothered her, related to skeletal proportion, and then the usual deflating balloon that sinks and deflates as we age. And so what I set out with her
So we
was
have so much to look forward to, is what you're telling me.
You know, it's a challenge sometimes to take someone's vision of themselves and make sure it's realistic.
Right.
One thing about Ella is she was very realistic and a real understanding of what she wanted to achieve.
Yeah.
And so we were able to do that, and it was quite satisfying.
Talk to me about Ella, though. Everybody who has met Ella on this set says she is an absolute sweetheart, just a lovely person, a lovely soul. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, she's an amazing person who's risen above some personal challenges like we all have, but have maintained that really outgoing, alive, effervescent personality. And when I first met her, what she projected, what she showed, really didn't match her internal personality.
Right.
When you saw her external form, she looked sad and deflated and descended, and when you meet her, she's elevated and bubbly, and so she had a classic separation of the personality and the presentation. And in our culture, we just don't like that. We like to look as good as we feel.
Absolutely. All right, well, you guys did a fantastic job. Let's actually meet Ella now as she prepares to change her look, starting at Dr. Mulholland's office. Take a look.
Hey, Ella, Dr. Mulholland's ready to see you now.
I'm so excited. I'm getting a makeover. I've always wanted it. My nose I've hated. And over the years of being a single mom and raising my kids, I just came very tired and worn out looking. And I have the gels to prove the tiredness. And so when I look in the mirror now, I don't like what I see. It makes me very sad because on the inside, I feel different on the inside. And when I look in the mirror, it just takes away how I feel. And then I get all sad during the day or depressed or whatever.
Ella, good day.
Hi.
How are you?
Excited.
Well, today's our big day.
Yes, it is.
Did you get some sleep last night?
Not at all.
Not much. Well, you're about to get some now.
Okay.
So the nose job, or the rhinoplasty, is going to flatten your bridge, narrow your nose, improve that little bulbous tip, and then the endoscopic brow will lift your brow up. Endoscopic facelift will lift the cheek up, and then the lower neck lift with a smart lipo will give you an improvement in the neck, and then we'll add the fat through this area. And then add some white teeth, and it's going to be a total makeover.
See, and I've told my closest friends, and their reaction was, wow, your prayers have been answered. So they heard me. They did hear me before when I used to talk about it. They didn't think it was some silly thing or a whimsical thing. They knew that it hurt me to look like this, and they were very happy. I can't believe this is happening to me. It just happens to other people. So I feel like Cinderella, and I'm going to be pretty.
Well, now you've met Ella. She's so lovable. Let's take a look at the process of her transformation on surgery day.
Our first step is we are going to contour Ella's chin, and we're going to remove some of that annoying fat, the waddle that many people complain of, and we're going to use a little laser that melts the fat, liquefies it, and then we remove it gently. Now that we have melted the fat with the laser, the Smart Lipo waddle laser and skin tightening, we're going to take this tiny little cannula and just mop up some of the liquefaction. We have now elevated her skin and reposition that to give her a tighter, smoother jawline.
All right, so you mentioned Smart Lipo. I absolutely have to know what this is. What is that? Is that less invasive?
Yeah, Smart Lipo is, everyone's seen Nip Tuck Extreme Makeover, and it looks like a very traumatic procedure, liposuction. The tendency over the past couple of years has been to a gentler, kinder version of getting rid of the fat. So Smart Lipo is a tiny little laser, about 600 microns, 3 times the size of a hair fiber. You put it under the skin and you melt the fat. So you take the butter, which is your outer thigh or whatever it might be, you put it in the microwave and you melt it, and then you extract it very gently. So it's a 2-stage process done at the same time where you melt and you remove. Less bruising, less pain, less downtime, better skin contraction.
So what would be the difference between all-out lipo?
Well, all-out lipo, generally, the surgeon is using their arm and mechanical trauma to take the fat cells out. It's like taking the
Right.
butter and chopping it up with a knife. It's quite traumatic, and that's the pain and discomfort that everyone sees. Smart lipo, laser lipolysis can be done under local anesthesia. You're talking to your physician while it's being done. You can walk out after it's over.
So easier recovery.
Easier recovery, less risk, and better skin characteristics after.
How did things go with Ella? Because you use Smart Lipo on Ella.
I use Smart Lipo to contour under her chin, to remove some of the fat, tighten the skin.
Yes.
And then a little scalp mini lifts here and there to redrape it all.
Now let's talk about people who maybe don't want something even as drastic as Smart Lipo. Are there other things that people can look to do?
Absolutely. I mean, what Ella went through is transformative. It's amazing, but there are risks. There's risks of serious medical illness, of death. I mean, you have to accept this as surgery, and there's risks. We try and do it as safely as possible, but you have to accept those risks. Now, there's many things we can do in aesthetic plastic surgery now that have no risk. We have this thing called the Ultra Shape and the Vela Shape that we use sound waves to melt fat cells like a kidney stone.
Does that actually work?
Of course it works, yes.
Okay,
yes.
sound waves.
Yeah, sound waves. So ultrasound, infrared energy can melt fat. We've got tremendous skin tightening techniques. We've got Botox. We've got fillers. You could look 5 years younger in about 30 minutes with non-invasive treatments.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, when do you know you need to go sort of beyond Botox?
Beyond Botox, that's a good. That would be a good show.
Yeah,
Beyond
thanks.
Botox, when you look in the mirror and you just go, oh my goodness, who is that?
Yeah.
And you're beyond maybe a 3, 4, or 5 year transformative freshness, and you want to take the risk of surgery. You want to turn back the clock on time and appearance, and you're willing to undergo that risk, then you're a good surgical candidate if your expectations are realistic.
Well, we talked a little bit about this before during the break, and I wonder how many people go in and think, I just want to change myself, I want to change my face. You probably have to have a pretty strict set of criteria in terms of who you accept and who you don't, because some people aren't really dealing with, I want to fix my face, they're dealing with other issues.
Yes, so it's your other issues, you're exactly right. Secondary gain. So a good plastic surgeon, I've been doing this 15 years, you get used to, I'm not going to be able to save your marriage. I can't bring your husband back.
You can't?
I can't.
Dr. Mulholland.
I can't. But I can find you a new one.
Okay, well that's good. That's good.
And I can't get you the pay raise. I can't save your job. I can just help how you feel about yourself. Then you and your healthy mind have to go and change your life.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to go back to Smart Lipo just for a moment then. You said that people can leave. You can literally leave right after it's been done.
It's a walking ambulatory oral sedation local anesthetic technique.
Well, then why wouldn't everyone just do Smart Lipo rather than Lipo?
They should.
Okay.
Yes.
So can you do my abs after the show?
Well, that would be brilliant, lipo.
They're missing. I don't know where they went. Okay, very good. Talk to me a little bit more about Ella in particular. Did you have any problems at all with Ella's? Was it all smooth sailing? Did everything go as you wanted it to go?
Ella was. It was a long procedure. It was 8 hours. I was changing the skeletal structure of her face and the soft tissue over it, so it would fall into the big group of procedures you might do rather than medium, but everything went very, very smoothly. She was a healthy person, non-smoker. I do a lot of screening tests to make sure people are healthy.
Does that make a big difference if you're a smoker or
Oh,
not?
absolutely. If you smoke, there's many things that I probably wouldn't do because smokers just don't heal as well, like diabetics and other issues. So to have a big surgery, you can't be a big smoker.
Okay. Now you said you changed skeletal.
Yeah, so I reduced her nose, I brought her chin forward, I brought her cheeks up.
Right.
And that was at the bony level, and then I rearranged the soft tissue on top of the new bony structure.
How long did it take for her to recover?
Well, it was about 3 weeks till she was looking acceptable. So when you do major surgery, transformative surgery, you need some downtime in recovery. You can't, you read about these weekend facelifts.
Yeah.
Unless the surgeon takes a weekend to do it, there's very few people that look good in 2 days, unless it's really under delivered. So most people think you need about a week off for minor stuff. You need about 3 weeks off for major stuff to be realistic.
Now, Ella seems to be absolutely elated with everything that happened. It was just a really good experience for her. Do you ever have people that come out and think, oh no, why did I do this?
I think there's a normal wheel of reaction to any transformation, and we're aware of that, and we help people through the changes. So I would say yes and no. No to those individuals that want a little subtle lift, a little they look the same, just a little fresher. When you take someone who's had a genetic challenge, never had the nose or the face they wanted, and you actually give it to them, there's a psychological shock there. And you need to select the right healthy candidate. And some people are astounded and amazed, and some people are going, oh my goodness, and they're worried that they're going to look so different that people make comments.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Dr. Mulholland, thanks so much for that.
Thank you very much, Trace.
We've got a goodie, as I promised during the break. Everyone will receive a sample of 3 products from the Spa Medica Skin to Skin Treatment System. It's a gentle skin cleanser, a pure vitamin C serum, a facial sunscreen that is specially formulated for use under makeup. That's for all of you guys in the audience today. You'll go home with that.
It's been like, to be honest, a roller coaster ride. I was like so excited, and yeah, everybody's nervous about surgery, but the end result is, hey, it's like, what can I say? I'm loving it.
When I first saw Ella, she presented because she was really unhappy with the overall projection of her face. She's one of those classic patients who feels young, acts young, but looks older than her stated age. And so she wanted to look more youthful, more youthful. And she was in her late 40s, looked like she's in her early 50s, and wanted to be in her late 30s. She was born with some hereditary challenges, nose that was too big, chin that was too weak, a brow that was high and was droopy, and a lot of her soft tissue was just deflated and descended.
I just got more self-esteem. Yeah, a lot more self-esteem. And it's going to get better. I just know it.
You've got to be dying to meet her. The Ella we've been talking about throughout the entire show. Everyone, Ella. Give her a big round of applause. Come on up, Ella. You look fantastic.
Thank you.
How do you feel?
Like Cinderella?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking a little like Cinderella.
Well, thank you.
Talk to me about this whole journey.
Oh, this journey has been amazing. My feet has not touched the ground. I'm loving this. I don't walk with my head down anymore. I'm smiling and saying hi to people on the street.
Just strangers?
Yeah, strangers.
Hi, I'm Ella.
Getting
Look at me, I'm pretty.
Getting phone numbers pushed in my hand and getting on the
You're
bus
kidding
for free.
me. Get out of town. Are the men all over you?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that is thanks to your 2 doctors. Thank you, Dr. Mulholland and Dr. Saul. You're getting her dates. Good work. Very good. Listen, we chatted a little bit before the show, and almost only 2 words came out of your mouth, and you were in tears. This is why people love you, though. You're so happy about this change, and I think that's what people like to see. They like to see somebody who they didn't feel like their insides were being reflected on the outsides, and that's why they went for cosmetic surgery. Is that how you felt?
I remember walking into the office and he said, what did you want to accomplish? I go, for my inside to be like on the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you feel that way now?
I do, and more so.
Can I talk to your babies, because they're here as well?
You sure
Your
can.
2 kids?
You
All right,
sure
let me
can.
talk to them. What's your name, sweetie?
Randall.
Randall, how old are you?
I'm 15.
Okay, so you're the son. Tell me what you thought when your mom said, I'm going to go in, I'm going to get this done.
Really? I was disappointed.
Oh, really?
And then after to hear her that she said it'll make her happy, made me feel good. So I had to, I don't know.
That's all you needed to hear, eh? It'll
Yeah.
make mom happy and you're happy with
Yeah.
it. How about you? What's your name?
Alicia,
Alicia, how old are you?
14.
Okay, how did you feel? How do you feel about the makeover?
Excited?
Are you excited for her?
Yeah.
Is she hot?
Well, I can't judge her.
I can't call my mom hot. She's absolutely gorgeous. So you're happy for her, though, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So tell me how this has changed your life. Are there things that you're going to be doing differently now? I know you're smiling down the street, you're getting digits from all the guys, and you feel confident about yourself. Are there other changes that are going to come out of this?
The changes that I'm going to try to make. Before I would take something lower level, but now I'm going to reach for the stars. Yeah, for sure.
And is there anyone that is sort of skeptical about this big change? Is anyone acting a little weird around you now that you're this new fabulous self?
Actually, no.
Good.
No, not at all.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you. You're so lovable. Thank you so much, Ella. Stay with us as well. We're going to have the results of our live makeover in the audience, and we're going to talk to Ella a little more after the break. Stay with us. all throughout the show, we've been talking about Ella. We've seen the process of her transformation. Let's just give you a final look at her because it was such an amazing transformation. Take a look at Ella before and Ella now. Look at that. You know, what's interesting about all this is that we've sort of encapsulated this very big transformation. People are seeing it within the hour of the show. And, you know, people don't necessarily get a sense of how big this is, how much time this takes, how much thought goes into it, the recovery. So talk to me a little bit about what people need to think about before they go and do something like this.
Well, from my perspective as the plastic surgeon, it's a big psychological transformation.
Right.
There's a physical recovery. There's a financial commitment. You're basically taking one of the biggest commitments you'll make in your life to your physical self, and you need to set that time aside. It needs to be the right time in your life, and you need to be emotionally and psychologically committed.
What are we talking about recovery-wise? How much time?
If you break the face into thirds, let's say brow, eyes, cheek, and lower neck, each third takes about a week to 10 days. So if you do all thirds, you renovate the whole house, right down to the foundations, it's a good a month to 6 weeks till you're looking right. And so it's a lot of hiding out period, a lot of recovery period, and it can be amazing, but people have to be prepared for that. There's no weekend surgery recovery for the face, really.
Dr. Mulholland, fantastic job, all on Ella. Thank you so much to Ella, and stay tuned tomorrow. City Line is home day. Good job, guys. Goodness. Up next, you have to see this before and after.
It's not that sort of stigmatizing sort of pug look that you think when you think of cosmetic surgery of the 80s and 90s.
Story to share with you right now, and this is the story of Joan, who is ready for a change and flew all the way from Nova Scotia to meet with Dr. Mulholland. The results are incredible. Take a look.
Hello, I'm Joan. I'm from Nova Scotia, and I'm off to Toronto to have a procedure done, and I'm very excited about it. Well, I would just like to look a little bit fresher and not so tired looking, and just a little bit younger.
Joan, hello. Good to see you.
Thank you.
I look forward to our date today.
Oh, but I am looking really forward to it.
I turn back the clock on the areas that bother you. The jowl and the neck, around the mouth and the lines, the tiredness and droopiness around the eyes.
Okay.
Our goal, 60 years old, appearing fresh, natural, and youthful, okay?
Fantastic.
Well, Joan represents a little atypical type of patient. She's 74 years old. A lot of the patients that we've had on CityLine over the last 16, 17 years have started a little earlier, in their 40s, with a little tweak here, a little tweak there, in their 50s. So hence the radical makeover. When you wait that long, it's hard not to look like you've done something. It's hard to convey that we're not tweaking one little room at a time, which I always advocate. Do something in your 40s, something in your 50s, something in your 60s, so it's not so big in your 70s. If you wait till you don't renovate any rooms, we have to tear the whole house down and build it again. And so although, yes, a scalpel, a good old-fashioned surgeon's scalpel is a part of it, using telescopes, using tighteners, using lasers, we can really create a natural, layered look that doesn't look over-pulled anymore. It just looks nice.
I wasn't sure that I was going to do this, and I thought, I'm going to do it. And I thought, nope, I'm not going to do it. And then I finally made up my mind, and once I made up my mind, I was happy. And the initial part of it was over very quickly, and I felt good about that. But I'm so happy I did it now. I feel really good about it.
Wish we had the microphones on when everybody here in the studio watched that before and after. So Dr. Steve Mulholland, give him a big hand. Great work. You've got to be proud of that.
You know, it is a lot of fun, and it's rewarding when you get someone like Joan, who has really waited a long time, 4 decades, to do something she really wanted to do. And yeah, it just gives her a different projection, different look, different feel. Yeah.
Incredible. Okay, so Joan comes to you. She's 74 years old. She hasn't had a lick of anything done. And so her recovery time, it took a while. The procedure was in July. Didn't really do the follow-up, the after shots until November. Why such a long recovery? Is that all? Does that have to do with age?
Partly due with age. You know, as we age, our tissues tend to be less. They recover less quickly. So usually, I'll say if we can do something that major, it's 6 weeks till you feel reasonably comfortable in makeup, but 6 months till you're comfortable in your skin again, and you stop thinking about it. So you know, it's a big decision in your 70s. Number one, you got to make sure someone's healthy, physically fit to have a procedure that's 4 or 5 hours long, and it's just unusual nowadays to, in my practice, see someone in their 70s that's done nothing. No Botox, no filler, no skincare, just go to old East Coast salt water air, and that's it.
Right. Well, you know, there's probably, you don't see any of those people because of the line of work you're in, but there's probably more people than you would think. We want to talk a little bit about what procedures you might want to consider that in your 30s and 40s and 50s, but I want to know more about Joan.
Sure.
Because she looks amazing. What did you do?
With Joan, because she hadn't done any tweaks in her 30s, 40s, or 50s, or 60s, it was really, if you think of your face as the top floor, which is the eyes and the brow, the middle floor, and all the rooms in that floor, which is your cheek and your mouth, the bottom floor, the basement, your neck, we really renovated the whole house, which was all floors. And so let's say in your 30s, early 40s, if women are predisposed to doing plastic surgery, they're often recovering their body from children, from childbirth. And often it's repositioning the tummy, recapturing breast shape and form and figure if diet and exercise don't work.
Right.
In the late 40s, it's often about the eyes, you know, the window to the soul, and the sagginess betrays that soul to some extent, and so it's eye work. In the 50s, often a little cheek and mouth work, and maybe in the 60s, maybe a little neck work. So you never look like you've done anything. No recovery is usually more than about 2 weeks. And at the end of it, you just always look yourself, but maybe 10 years younger than your chronological age.
I think what's very cool about Joan, if you take a look at this picture here, is that you were mentioning in the tape, because of the procedures you can do now with laser, she doesn't look pulled.
And that's
so what did you use with her to not give her that? She doesn't look done.
You know, I use a lot of little telescopes to reposition the brow and the cheek on the side with a little pull. But in that central oval of our face, above and below the eyes, around the mouth, judicious replacement of volume, because often as we age, there's that loss of air out of the balloon. Bring that some volume. The high-tech lasers now give us smooth skin, so it's not that sort of stigmatizing sort of pulled look that you think when you think of cosmetic surgery of the 80s and 90s. It can be very, very natural. And if you look at Hollywood, almost no one is not doing something, and the best people look like they've never done anything, but they look perpetually amazing.
So did Joan get a whole face lift?
So she did. We did her brow, her upper lid, lower lid, her cheek, her mouth, her neck, and her neckline. But the whole central T-zone of her face, the upper, lower lid, cheek, and through the mouth, I transferred some fat grafting with little stem cells. We did high-tech lasers. On the tape, there was a little device that tightens the skin. So I try to recruit the skin to tighten itself rather than rely on pulling too much. It usually all comes together quite predictably and really quite in a quite lovely way if it's done strategically and artistically.
Now, when you use procedures like the ones that you've described, is it less invasive?
Yeah, so I would say that to do a big makeover like this is less invasive than it's ever been. But again, when you wait till 74, we still have to dispose of some extra skin. If you do little tweaks in your 30s and 40s, it's not always an excisional experience. You can get beautiful skin now with high-tech lasers and different, you know, Botox and Juvederm and all these things we have now. You don't ever have to have a surgery to look 5, 6, 7 years fresher than your chronological age might be.
Okay, well, let's talk about different skin types out there. You know, skin tends to age differently depending on what ethnicity you are, what race you are. So are there certain concerns with, you know, say the Asian population or blacks? Like what do you need to worry about when you've got different skin?
So I would divide skin types into two groups. There's the lighter skin types, typically North European. We tend to those skin types tend to age with fine lines and wrinkles and laxity and sun damage and discoloration, basically everything. It's deflation, deterioration, descent. I call it 3D aging, the 3Ds of growing old.
Sorry.
And so with the thinner skin types, the lighter skin types, we're often replacing volume, tweaking wrinkles with lasers, using a little Botox, throwing away stuff. In the darker skin types, generally the darker skin types have thicker skin, rarely present with wrinkles. Often it's about brown discoloration or acne scars and sometimes some laxity around the jaw and the neck. So two different types of problems totally, and you have to address them differently. And the wound healing characteristics of darker skin tend towards more scarring, that's more visible. You really have to hide things in a stealth sort of plastic surgery mode with darker skin, because what if the scar doesn't heal properly?
Like what if you've got the keloid, right?
Yeah.
And
so
all of that.
You hide everything inside the ear and behind the ear, so only your hairdresser knows for sure. And if you're really good, they don't even know.
So you can still get everything done regardless of what shade, complexion, color you are. It's just you've got to worry about that from a physician's perspective.
Correct.
As to how you're going to hide these things. Okay, so everybody can do anything.
Again, the darker skin types, you've got to be careful with certain lasers you might use in lighter skin types because there's so much melanin, which attracts the laser light. But again, a good trained plastic surgeon will know these issues around darker skin and deal with them appropriately.
From those skin types that you just mentioned, are any of those more likely to have issues with things like acne?
The acne-scarred and acne-prone skin types tend to be lighter skin types, those with rosacea and red skin issues, and they get the sebaceous unit, which is the thing at the base of the hair follicle, tends to get inflamed and give acne. Unfortunately, if darker skin types, Asian or black skin, gets acne, it tends to leave more visible scarring. So yeah, lighter skin types tend to be more red and acne prone. The darker skin types more brown discoloration prone and little black growths and lumps and bumps.
Okay, so it's a new year. You know, we've all eaten a lot, we drank a lot, we spent all of our money. So maybe we're looking for a little bit of a new look. If someone wanted a bit of a touch-up, just a little bit of a tweak to get that new year started right, what would you recommend?
I divide into body and face, and first of all, diet and exercise always. Diet and exercise first. Then for body issues, the Zerona laser is still one of the most popular ways to slim down 3 or 4 inches. Generally, in an 8-week program, we can guarantee 3 inches over multiple pinch points will be gone. And then there's other focal sculpt, non-invasive, non-liposuction ways to melt the fat.
How does Zerona work? Does that hurt? Does it hurt? I always ask you that first. Does it hurt?
No pain. And we did a show on that last year, I believe, or last year. It's a cold laser system where you lie under and they rotate, and it facilitates the movement of triglyceride and free fatty acids out of your fat cells, basically.
Okay.
Works well.
All right.
And on the face, then,
face.
things like photo rejuvenation, little intense pulse light on your skin, some Botox, a little bit of Juvederm, and those 3 little simple things, laser, filler, and a little bit of toxin, can really refresh you without any downtime. Usually I do those things on a Friday. Women are back to work on a Monday looking great. Again, not, oh, who injected your face? You have this giant filler face.
Right.
It should be more, wow. You look rested. You know, you look great. Those are the comments you want.
You don't want to walk into work and people call you filler face.
That's bad.
No.
Definitely bad.
It's a bad day at work, right? Thank you so much, Steve. Everyone is going to be taking home this gift bag full of products. This is courtesy of Dr. Mulholland, including an optimal eye and lip makeup remover, a Hyaluronic cream, and a $100 gift card to Spa Medica. Enjoy!